Reproductive rights are a big thing for feminists. A big, big issue. Abortion, which is not now and will never be a women's rights issue. There is nobody contesting abortion from the point of view of women shouldn't choose, rather from the point of view of that's a human you're killing. I personally disagree, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a sanctity of life issue, not a women's issue. Contraception, the lot. But there's one thing that is always overlooked, and that is the complete and utter lack of male reproductive rights. Let's begin chronologically, to begin with. The first thing, of course, is contraception. Female contraception options, a partial list, because I can't be bothered to list a whole lot. Roll. The pill. There are so many different makes, hormones, you have a dual pill, you have a progesterone-only pill, blah blah blah, there's so many different makes, blah blah blah. It's free on the NHS for all women of all ages. The injection, once again, different hormones, different options, different brands, again, free on the NHS for women of all ages. The implant, exactly the same. Now that alone is 3 different hormonal options of varying time periods. If you never want to think about your contraception, like for a year at a time, implant. If you want to be able to stop at any point, the pill. If you want somewhere in the middle, the injection. Of course, there are non-hormonal options too, since some people don't like having their hormones messed with. Femidons, the diaphragm, the IUD, which is the coil, DAMS, the vaginal ring, the IUS, a contraceptive cap, spermicide, they're all non-hormonal and must be replaced at different times. From the once per sex femidon, to the reusable diaphragm, to the very rarely replaced IUD or IUS. Then there's the permanent option, tube tying. And finally, the morning after pill, an emergency contraceptive with different brands, makes, free on the NHS. All in all, that was 13 methods of contraception, and not a full list, with all but one being impermanent and totally under the woman's control. Male contraceptive options, on the other hand, are much more limited. A complete list of male contraceptive options reads as such. Condoms, which are only free for males under 25, and only if they've gone through the semi-embarrassing process of going to a sexual health clinic and asking for one of these, and then filling out a form, it's called a C card, and then it's only free till the under 25. Doesn't have latex-free condoms as an option, so if you are allergic to latex, you've got to buy your own condoms, and furthermore, you have to collect them at a reception desk in front of all sorts of people there for things like STDs or weight loss or mental health. Great crowd of people who could potentially be judging you. You've got to go right in front of them and do that. And that's after being shown awkwardly how to put a condom on a wooden penis by a man who clearly doesn't understand the fact you know how to do it. And the vasectomy, a permanent and painful surgery. Now, the one last thing about contraception that we must consider is the ease at which it can be fooled or tricked or defrauded. Short of replacing women's pills or claiming to have had a vasectomy or to be sterile, a man can't really do much to force a woman to get pregnant, which is brilliant. On the other hand, a woman can easily lie about her methods. Oh, I'm on the pill, oh, I'm on the injection, I've had the implant, oh, I'm sterile, I've had my tubes tied, I'm on the IUD, the coil, I've put in a diaphragm. All of these things are perfectly legitimate and easy to lie about, and there's no proof required, or able to be given in a lot of cases. I mean, there's even companies that make fake contraceptive pills for the express purpose of faking being on contraception in order to trap a man into either parenthood or child support. I wish I was making that up with all of my heart, but I'm not. I mean, just Google, how do I get pregnant without my husband knowing, or some variation therefore, and I mean, this is just a screenshot of the first page of Google. And this is a number of results. Is that not scary to you? Hell, there are even sites telling you how to fake an implant mark, or an injection scar, or how to cut holes or pierce holes or tear holes in a condom without the man noticing. It's truly terrifying as a man. It's made me so paranoid that I'm not willing to have sex with a woman unless I can verify for myself that I'm using a condom that is fully and utterly safe and is not in any way sabotaged. Now, moving on from that scary scenario, let's look at opting out of parenthood after conception. Women can opt out with ease and many different options. Abortions are under their sole control, regardless of the man's wishes. If he wants to keep it, she doesn't. It's not being kept. If he doesn't want to be a father and she wants to be a mother, it's being kept. And he'll even be forced to pay for it, regardless of whether he wanted it or even knew he was going to have it until after it's happened. Women can even promise to have an abortion and then not do it, and that's fine by the legal system. There are safe havens in places like America where a woman can simply go, drop a baby off, and leave. Nothing required. No paperwork, no nothing. Just leave it there and go. And finally, adoption. And this is the really scary one. A fully willing father has no choice over adoption. I mean, look at this screenshot from adopthelp.com. Here, you notice it says, "We can work with you in terminating his rights." Yes, terminating his rights. Does that not sound horrifying to you? That means to a layman that regardless of the father's status, ability, stability, or any of the things that really should dictate whether you can be a parent or not, if the woman wants to give up the baby for adoption rather than give it to the father, the adoption agencies, the courts are all on her side. It shows very clearly that our legal system's attitude is rather than children with parents, children with mothers, or adopted mothers. Lesbian couples get approved for adoptions more often than gay couples is also something you should know. It's fucking bullshit, to put it boldly. Now the common answer from feminist women and men alike is, if you don't want to be a dad, don't have sex. But that's clearly biased and unfair. The existence of abortion means that if you don't want to be a mum, don't have sex, isn't fair. We can't say that. You know, you say, well, you shouldn't have had sex, you didn't want to be a mum. That's not right. No. A woman can do what she likes. She can have sex, she doesn't need to worry about the risks. But a man should. Men should have more responsibility for their own actions. That's essentially what it comes down to, is men have to take responsibility. They're constantly told, you must take responsibility for the kid that you have accidentally had or been defrauded into having. Whereas women, you go, oh, just opt out. You don't need to take responsibility for this. It's totally your decision. It's not fair. One rule for everybody. Why can we say that men should take responsibility but women not? The only answer is sexism. Men have no option to opt out of sex. If a woman forces herself to get pregnant against your will, against your knowledge, and whilst actively lying to you, fuck you, mate. You're a dad. There are a few simple and easy to implement solutions to these problems, and desperately needed. 1. More male contraceptive options need to be made, like a pill. They need to be funded by the government because they're an issue of health and social well-being. Also, just a quick thing to note is, there are numerous feminist groups fighting tooth and nail to stop male pills being developed, or to make them illegal to be developed, which clearly shows your feminist attitude towards male rights. Ha! What are those? 2. There needs to be some form of legal punishment for women who sabotage their own contraception, their husband's contraception, the man they're having sex with contraception, or fake being on contraception. It's fraud, plain and simple, and the companies that produce fake pills should be, at the very least, charged a lot of money and told to shut down, if not put in prison. Further, there needs to be some form of contract made available, so that when a woman says, if I get pregnant, I'll abort it, neither of us want a child and I will stick to this, she will be legally made to honour her agreement and her social contract. Now obviously I doubt many people would use these, and I'm sure in a court of law they could easily be thrown out, not if they were legally implemented however, but I just think you should definitely make the option available. At least give men the option to know if a woman's going to stick by what she says. 3. Some other form of contract needs to be made. Now this needs to have a very strict time limit. I'm not certain of the exact number, but there's a certain number of months that you can be pregnant before you're not allowed to have an abortion anymore legally. Men should have that exact same period of time, down to the day, to sign into a contract which allows them to opt out of paternity. A legal disavowment of connection to the child. They would lose all of the rights of a father, rights of a father, and also all of the responsibilities. They would not be forced to pay child support or forced to do any other sort of parental duties. Much like a woman who has an abortion is not forced to. If women know that they can't just use a baby to trap a man or to make him into their personal ATM, they're less likely to do shit like this. And finally, a widespread campaign and realisation that it's not fair to give one gender all of the power over reproduction. It only leads to corruption, fraud, and unfairness and suffering. Like always, in the description you will find a series of infographics and pictures from an anti-feminist point of view. They might not all be perfect, I don't agree with everything in them, but they're certainly good to look at. Word document full of links that are similar in that way. A lot of them are to A Voice for Men, but if you have a problem with A Voice for Men, just look at the citations. And thirdly, my script. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.